S tier page is going to be Viego. I know some people are like, no, he's not the best jungler in the game. He is the best all-round jungler in the game. There may be better farmers, there may be better gankers, but there's no better snowballer and jungle control fanatic. He does everything so well and synergizes with multiple good itemization paths that allows you to adapt in a great way. You like the Sundered Sky third after Kraken and Trinity Force? You can do that. You hate Trinity Force? Skip it entirely. You like Sterix Gage? Go at third. The combination of these items in your break-even point is very important, but the great Viego players of our time at the moment are able to absolutely dominate every single phase of the game. The most important thing is don't overcommit early, be patient and let the game come to you. Track well, rotate swiftly. As I explained in the previous jungle video, that 6,000 gold for Caillou 1v9 metric at 14 minutes, if you get that, no matter what your KDA looks like, you will be able to smurf a team fight in the mid game and close pretty damn quickly. Yeah, he's had his time of being a really obnoxiously designed champion, but let's face it, when he's this balanced at this particular stage and still being the best overall jungler, no one thinks he needs a nerf. That's a great sign for where he stands at the moment. Next up, we have Kha'Zix, and while he's not technically, the objective, hey, second best jungler in the game, he is performing the second best. And I know Kha'Zix, I've played and coached a hell of a lot in 10 years, and I love seeing great Kha'Zix players actually smurf against people when I'm coaching them, because I'm like, look at this. Look at how this Kha'Zix takes over the game. But he just bought Tiamat and farmed it up like a Gurren. Yeah, you can do that. Or, hey, he just aggressively ganked and kind of suppressed me out of the game because he knew he could do that. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Much like Viego, the champion just lets the game come to him, and then of course you can dominate in the mid game. No, you're not looking for the team fights like a Viego would be, but he is the one assassin that has multiple entry points and exit points into team fights should you actually have to do them. While his itemization isn't greatly diverse like other champions, it's kind of like Viego's, where you have multiple lethality items you can go. You've got the Edge of Night flex wherever needed against certain comps. He is somehow always high player rate, high win rate, no real supreme ban rate, and people just kind of sleep on his power curve because they don't often face brilliant Kha'Zix players. Become one, show them what his power is. Next up, we have Vale Baba, who has been 100% nerfed now properly with that interaction on the Q with Sundered Sky, as well as the R cooldown. This has affected high elo way more than the 99% of general population, hence why he's still on this list. Still powerful, still potent, still something you can build 1 damage into tank. I do recommend going more the W-Mags 2 fighter item and then tank build at this stage. I think you'll have a bit more fun with it, and also it's a lot more strong when you are a better volleyball player. However, regardless of which way you go, obviously Q-Max is still absolutely juiced and you're gonna have no issue climbing and winning with this champion, except of course when you face other better junglers on better champions, because he can still be shut down pretty easily and he isn't this uncounterable monster that people think he is. However, Diana, once people have solved the itemization spike and realize, hey, we should stop going Nashes and Storm Surge, they're realizing, wait, this champion's kind of broken. So much so that a Gurren has used her to get to challenge on one of his accounts, basically spamming her at a 70% plus win rate. That's because the champion exemplifies farming, playing around your ultimate, controlling objectives, going for pristine ganks that allow you to have, say, 3 to 5 ganks that are well executed versus 10 to 12 that are just whatever coin flip. And also, once you snowball with this baseline farming tempo and ganking smoothly, you're really a point-and-click assassin with proper high DPS and high damage builds. And you can rinse turrets and split push, and you can dominate team fights, and your own 12 Yasuo will have something to do once he gets 3 items. Sounds good, no? Kayn is up next, and boy, the outrage I got for putting him S tier last patch. You know what's funny about this? I tweeted about it as well, and again, more outrage. No, Kayn's the weakest jungler in the game. Kayn was the weakest jungler in the game because everyone was building Profane Hydra. If you stopped building it, he was good. Charisma even responded and said the same thing. If you just build Ghostblade, he's still amazing. Why are you building Profane? So that particular stage, it basically was a skill issue. The good Kayn players were just enjoying rushing through everything. And yes, Ross was a little bit better at that stage, but that's fine. Ross has been pretty bad this whole season. Now both forms are solid, powerful, potent, and fluid if you want to spell it with a P. With the small buff to that Q-AD ratio, it's not massive, but it does do a good job of kind of offsetting the lack of damage you're getting from not having Profane active in that full combo. I don't agree with the way they nerfed it. It did need to be dealt with in some capacity. However, we have now reached the reality where we're just going back to regular itemization. Following this, we have Taliyah, who I've thought has been an S tier capable jungler for many months now. Everyone in high elo knows this. Some of the best junglers in the world at the top of the ladder were all maining Taliyah in some capacity. The difference is now I'm kind of ignoring the play rate a little bit and just saying, listen, look at the meta we're in, look at what this champion does, and you will realize she perfectly suits the meta in all its forms. Obviously, there's a more difficult nature in terms of getting good with it mechanically, understanding how to fuse it with jungling, but in terms of a champion being provided absolutely everything you need to thrive within a jungle meta, Taliyah is at the top of this list. After the Rock Lady, we have Bel'Veth, and as, again, we've seen High Elo tweets, you know, subtract 2 divisions, subtract 2,500 million LP if you main Bel'Veth. Honestly, if you're High Elo, there's definitely some sort of credence to this. However, I take a different perspective. Whatever your rank is with Bel'Veth, just simply say, I am that rank, a Bel'Veth player. Not that rank, a jungler player. So I'm a Diamond Bel'Veth player, not a Diamond jungler. I'm a Challenger Bel'Veth player, not a Challenger jungler. The reason for this is because she violates a lot of the rules that most junglers have to abide. The same goes for Hecarim when he's absolutely broken. He's actually fine right now, but when he's broken, he has the same issue. Bel'Veth has been nerfed a little bit, but she still allows a player to get away with certain playstyles that are just not replicable on other champions, and they should be punished, and he shouldn't be able to get away with them, and that's where people really have an issue. I've made an entire video about this, which I will leave a link for in the description. Following this, we have Briar, not good in obviously your higher ELO play, but still dominates the general population. It's very easy to get to Diamond with her, then she kind of does fall off. The problem is her design is not good. So they keep nerfing her numbers and not realize that the design is just faulty. She's going to be a low elo stat check champion unless they figure out a way to adjust how she works. When you are buffed and nerfed and adjusted this much since release and you're still having the same problem, that indicates a design flaw. The point and click nature of the champion, the huge amount of healing, the E disengage, and of course the cross map R-bomb just gives you a little bit too much simplicity and power in one place. I am not the expert here, I have no idea how the hell to fix this champion, but it is a bit of a shame that she has become another one of these, hey, you just can't really thrive on her in high elo. You can play her for sure, but it's never going to be something that dominates like the other champions. For the rest of you, go ahead, play aggressive, farm it up, build fighter, you can build assassin a little bit, take your Hela blades, be active, use your ult willingly but intelligently, and obviously, don't press W and overchase and die into turrets. I'm still seeing that for some reason. Just learn to understand the limits of that ability. Next up, we are going to the A tier page, and objectively Rek'Sai is an S tier god level jungler. The issue is that while she's not really that difficult mechanically in a 1v1 versus dummy sense, using those abilities appropriately at a high tempo jungling pace, that has always been what people historically struggle to properly apply. Now, of course, we're back to more of the fighter builds. Itemization is pretty standard and boring, but the dynamic Rek'Sai execution of early game and dominating teamfights in the late game with insane sustain has not been undone by the top laner nerfs. Following this, we have Evelyn, who is countered a little bit by Briar because W presses and Q stuns. But at the same time, while she was nerfed a little bit and she's still very, very strong, her innate power of free real estate in terms of LP gains has been nerfed, and she does have a bit more counterplay. Obviously, the Rek'Sai is super strong against her. Rengars will always work. Taliyah is obviously a nice one too. So there are enough champions you can play against Evelyn and feel comfortable, hey, I'm going to survive this, and I'm able to beat her and keep her down. But as someone who's gone back to spamming a bit of Evelyn, yeah, there's no issue 1v9ing, it's all about you. Next up, we have Master Yi, otherwise known as Cenarius, the greatest Master Yi of all time, and the only one who is able to make this work properly in high elo. But for general MMR, again, like I said last time, I feel that Master Yi is in this really balanced state. He's definitely super strong, definitely can 1v9 games, but he just doesn't feel as cringe, if I can say, from before. Yeah, W Meditate is still something I'm supremely unhappy about as an ability. I don't think that's particularly healthy. But overall, the champion design is such that, hey, I'm facing a Yi, not, oh no, I'm gonna lose. You think, oh, I'm facing a Yi and I need to play a certain way and understand how this game is gonna go. And if I suck and I end, he will be fed. And if the Master Yi plays well with a good jungling tempo, he will carry the game and we will have to play accordingly later on. Now, Lee Sin, I don't always put him here because most people just don't execute on the champion properly. But let's just face it, with this high play rate, with a win rate this close to 50%, with Eclipse and Sundered Sky being absolutely busted, and with all his other itemization being also a little bit strong, really there's no way you can go wrong on Lee Sin at the moment. It's purely all about your hands and those fingers. And I'm gonna stop talking. Next up, we have Kindred. While they have fallen off the radar just a little bit, also provide a certain potent snowball control. The snowball potential is there, the itemization is there, the flexibility is there, and it's all about how you see the game. The mechanics, again, not too difficult, but it's how you see the game and how you're actually able to put yourself in the bus driver's seat. You're not Kevin Durant going to other teams and looking to buy championships. You're the guy, you're the Stephen Curry, you're the LeBron, the Kobe, the Michael. You are driving the bus to the titles, to the game wins, Always remember that as your mentality. But also remember sometimes there's a win con and you can play around that and keep them alive. Yeah, I don't know. I see a couple supremely great Shakos in high elo. I watch them. I'm like, wow, your pathing is genius. Your pressure is insane. I love watching this. I hate your champion, but I love the way you see the game. And then you go and scout and watch other MMRs, you know, for your research and obviously your sessions and coaching. And then you just see Shakos faceplant and look like a jack in the box. However, then I look at the data and I'm like, wait a second, his play rate and win rate and ban rate are pretty solid. So while anecdotally you might not see a lot of this champion, when you look at the data and you look at the high elo players, you're like, you know what? This champ is a little bit it. Vi is also it, but really that for, you know, the Smolders and the Veins and the Zeries and the things we need to ult and keep locked down. Even though her nerfs did hurt her pretty hard, she's recovered as a lot of champions do as people find better itemization, better matchups, and better ways to play to compensate. That they have done. She's not difficult to play. Learn some flashes and sums before you go to level 6, and then use your level 6 to abuse said fact. Rinse and repeat, take a few dragons, couple grubs, slap some turrets, and you're on your way. Finally, we have Zac, and yeah, you could put a lot of different champions here. I love the Karthus, just better high elo, but I do love it overall as well. However, with the removal of Rel, I think it's really good to have a take in this list. And honestly, he's just objectively the best one. Disruption, farm it up, scale with your itemization, heal, engage, do damage, really the same as always. For the low MMR page, we have a few subtle adjustments. It's still Briarmaster and Volley Bear, but obviously the Diana is now ever present once more, always is when she's popular, via Lilia, Nocturne, and Warwick. Now, Rammus is great. You can use the Rammus against all of your regular champions, so you might see footage of Rammus, but at the same time, the Lilia and the Nocturne are struggling overall. I would not be surprised to see some buffs come their way in the not too distant future, but in low elo they still perform very well. Nocturne does struggle a lot since the lethal tempo nerfs as well as his E-tether range nerfs, but in low elo these things are less noticeable and they're not punished as much, and thus he still maintains a lot of his global presence and skirmishing and farming power. And obviously you can use things like Kayn and Viego and you can still go back to the brand. I just recommend these ones as a better way to get better at juggling without thinking too much about your champions. The Viego, yeah, you will stall your climb to gold and above, but when you get there, obviously you'll slingshot. As always, it's about that fusion of having fun and climbing as fast as possible. For high elo, obviously the entire goal is to win all the time, and so the champions here will represent that. The Kazakhs again doing insanely well in high elo also. Lee Sin obviously does way better here. Talia astronomically powerful. Kindred also. And then of course the Nidalee. They did nerf her skillful execution a little bit after buffing her heal, and it didn't really do as much as we thought. I thought it would have a bigger effect on her win rate. It turns out it was actually fine. I disagree with the direction, and I think they should have more power in her Q, less in her heal, but obviously that matters not when the goal is just simply use the tool to win. And obviously high tempo farming Karthus, understanding when they exactly have to gank, when to counter jungle, and basically just letting enemy junglers defeat themselves is always pretty funny to watch. The Skarners and the Olafs of the world have been struggling. Most people are figuring that out. They are not objectively strong at the moment. Olaf I think will go up, but I don't think he's going to go up that much. Keep an eye on the Agurans who will be playing it, farming it up and snowballing. And as always, remember the Rek'Sais of the world who dominate. Remember the Rengars of the world. All of these high elo champions can absolutely dominate. The Graves is not really an issue at the moment, but these are your best junglers. And if you want to apply the principles to the junglers, click the video on your screen now to climb faster than ever. Rest in peace, Rel, an unnecessary casualty of pro play. I absolutely hate it when this happens.